Welcome to the HoosLeft Podcast, a show about Indiana politics, history, and culture from the unapologetic perspective of the social democratic left. My name is Scott Aaron Rogers. I'm recording from Bloomington, and when I began this endeavor, I didn't think it would evolve into an Ariana Grande fan podcast, but here we are. After raving about the movie Wicked and her performance in it, for which she just earned an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress a few weeks back, I turned back to the pop icon to open this episode. In her hit song, Thank You Next, Ariana Grande transforms personal adversity into an anthem of gratitude and growth. It is a powerful reminder that even our most difficult experiences can teach us something valuable and push us toward becoming a stronger version of ourselves. This theme is universal, and it resonates just as deeply in the context of setbacks in professional or public life as it does in personal relationships. Losing an election, or experiencing any kind of public defeat, and a celebrity breakup is very much a public defeat, can feel like an abrupt and disheartening end. But in reality, such moments are often the beginning of a new chapter, filled with opportunities for reflection and reinvention. Every loss carries lessons about communication, resilience, and perhaps most importantly, about the individual's own strengths and values. Just as Grande reflects on the ways her relationships shaped her, those who experience a setback can use it as a chance to recalibrate, grow, and better understand our unique purpose. Setbacks are often a precursor to future success. Leaders across industries and disciplines have encountered roadblocks that ultimately prepared them for their defining achievements. A loss isn't the end of a journey, it's a turning point. A moment to reassess goals and explore new territory. For some, this might mean returning with renewed focus to the same endeavor, while for others, it could spark a fresh direction that's even more impactful than the original goal. What matters most is the mindset after the loss. Embracing the lessons, seeking feedback, and taking time to realign with core values ensures that the setback becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Grande's message of turning pain into progress captures this perfectly. There's power in pausing to say thank you to an experience, even one that didn't go as planned, and then confidently moving on to what's next. Dr. Tim Peck ran for Congress in my district, Indiana 9, and though he put in a tremendous amount of work and tens of thousands of miles on his truck, incumbent Republican Aaron Houchin easily repelled his challenge, winning re-election by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. Likewise, Sarah Blessing took on entrenched GOP State Representative Karen Engelman in District 70, only to lose by an even greater margin. In an especially toxic environment, both could have retreated from public view in the wake of their defeats. Yet, moved by those countless heartfelt one-on-one conversations with their neighbors on the campaign trail, they're leaning in, continuing those discussions, pursuing common ground, refusing to give up on democracy. They've launched a new media venture called Project Next that aims to keep building bridges to our neighbors, with whom we largely agree on most issues. They reject the simple red-blue dynamic meant to divide us and embrace a healthy, inclusive populism. In this conversation, Sarah joins me to talk about the circumstances that led her and Tim to found Project Next, their plans for the immediate future, and their vision going forward. I've been helping them around the edges and am proud to publicly announce my participation in this project, which officially launches with a kickoff telethon Tuesday, January 28th from 5 to 10 p.m. Before we turn to the interview, I want to thank all of you for your support for this project, especially those who have made the leap with a paid subscription. Your contributions have helped me make meaningful connections with fascinating people like Sarah from all over Indiana and beyond. We are building a network of Hoosiers dedicated to making the state and its government work for all of us, not just the wealthy and connected few. Now, I work as a handyman contractor to pay the bills and work on this project when I can. I have so much more to give you, this community, and Indiana's future. My body and my brain would both prefer if we could afford to direct more of our energies here, but for that, I need you. All I'm asking is $5 a month or $50 for the whole year to help me write more, research more, organize more, and keep improving Who's Left. With that, it's now a lot easier to find us. Visit whosleft.us for all of our articles, episodes, archives, and that sweet, sweet subscribe button. We're also on Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok at Who's Left. And given the proclivities of the tech oligarchs, I'm reevaluating where I want to concentrate my social media presence. But until I figure that out, I am still on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter at ScottRodge78 and ScottRodge78 at Hoosier.social on Mastodon. Share on whatever social media platforms you use. Invite others. Leave reviews and feedback. Please help me radicalize Indiana. Thanks again. Now here is my dear friend, Sarah Blessing. There's Sarah Blessing. Welcome back to the Who's Left Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Scott.
Boy, it's been a lot has changed since the first time you were here. Boy, what was that? Was that last summer? Toward
Yes.
the end of the summer?
August, maybe?
I think so. And you were running for Indiana State House District 70.
Yep.
And we had a good long conversation and got into all sorts of stuff. I mean, yeah, we talked politics.
Got a lot of my trauma. For those of you that listened to that episode, you got, you got my bad stuff and why I'm a tough person. And Scott, you were incredible at interviewing me. So good job. Also, side note, my sound kept messing up and I was like nervous the entire time when we finished. I was like, this is going to sound awful. And you like edited it out. You couldn't even tell there were sound problems. And hats off to you. That was some impressive fixing up.
That one, I forgot that we had that. I had to sew a lot of stuff together, but that was...
You obviously had to work, because I kept having to repeat stuff. Yeah, and you couldn't tell at all. But my hair kept getting frizzier because I kept getting more stressed out with the sound. So we started out like this, and then by the end of the episode, my hair was like out to here. So you could like tell in the episode, if you watched it on like YouTube or something, you could tell the frizziness of how stressed out I was.
Oh my God, I didn't catch that. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch.
Good times. But
yeah.
No, you go.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I barely knew you. I like listened to a couple episodes before, and then I realized, I'm going to listen to a lot of episodes because you're teaching me a lot about Indiana and how state government works. Since I was running for State House, I should probably know that stuff. So I listened a lot, found out a lot of things. And since then, we've become friends. And since then, now we're like working together on what we're talking about today with Project Next. And I'm just so blessed you're in my life. I just can't thank you enough. Like, we don't live next to each other. You're in Bloomington and I'm in Palmyra. So it's like a little under 2 hours away, I guess. And I'm just really proud of you for doing this podcast. And I'm really thankful to be your friend now.
You're going to make me misty. I'm
that's the plan. Get a Kleenex.
I'm consistently just amazed by the awesome people I get to meet doing this. And I don't know, like I don't believe in like divine guidance or anything, but I definitely feel like something pushed me to start this podcast and get involved and talk to people. And I've just met such amazing people who are fighting in Indiana, fighting for Hoosiers every day, even though our state is so backwards. And I'm just so thankful to have met you.
Yeah, I just want everybody to know, like, I'm just a normal person. I was a teacher and I ran for county council and then I ran for State House. It might seem terrible to run as a Democrat in a rural area in Indiana. And the goal wasn't to win in November. The goal was to build. And the things that happen as a candidate, if you really get out there and you go to the events and you door knock, you just meet so many incredible people. And you're at the top of that list of incredible people I met. And I just encourage those of you listening, you care about politics, you care about Indiana, I really encourage you to get more involved locally with your Democratic Party or within an organization that's doing good, and dive all in, because you're going to meet fantastic people that are going to be your friends. And that's going to bring so much joy and value to your life. And that's what happened with me. 2024 was the most terrible year and the best year of my life. And I don't really want to repeat it, but I'm really thankful for all those lows, because I wouldn't have gotten to the highs without them,
Yeah, well, one of those highs, I feel like, was that weekend before the election. My wife and I came down to Corydon, got to meet you and do an event together. You had the women's march in Corydon, and it was just wonderful, and there was so much energy.
I think we had 110 people come. So that was our biggest event for Harrison County Democrats. Shout out to Kenna and the other organizers who planned that. Yeah, thank you for coming down, because I just invited you. I was like, hey, it's okay if you say no. Do you want to come down? And you were like, well, let me ask my wife. And you guys came down, and it was fantastic. And yeah, can you imagine the hope we felt that Saturday before the election? We had so much hope.
Yeah, well, yeah, we all felt
it feels like
so hopeful.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago, especially after this week. But we met Corinne Strait. That was the first time we met her in person for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time I met her.
Yeah.
How she's working with us in Project Next. Corinne Strait is she's sort of a TikTok star, and she's also really big on Instagram, and she reports Indiana politics and also national politics. And if you guys don't follow her, go ahead and stop what you're doing. Stop listening to this and go follow her if you're on Instagram or TikTok. It's just her name, Corinne Strait. And you'll see why
I'll link her in the show notes. Yeah.
Yes, link her. Yeah. You'll see why she's so amazing. She's entertaining, and she's really smart, and she knows how to get the information out in like a minute or two, so that we are informed. And we got to meet her for the first time. She came down all the way from Elkhart, and that was really amazing. And then Tim Peck was there running for Congress. And for those of you that don't know, he's my co-founder on Project Next. So the four of us met for the first time on that November 2nd Women's March. So that's kind of epic for us, I think.
Yeah. So after that Women's March, and that was a Saturday, right? Then that was the week before the election. The election was Tuesday. We were all so hopeful, and as the night wore on, just the dread, the cloud moved in, right?
Yeah.
And just like a reality kind of set in, that we were going to be really in for the fight of our lives. At least for the next 4 years.
I really started getting scared that day, the day of the election. I went to Corydon High School to talk to voters, and I stayed there for about 2.5 hours, and I talked to, it was hot that day, which is weird for November 5th, but I remember it was hot. I talked to about 125 people. Not one person knew me. Not one person knew Dr. Peck, who was running for Congress in District 9. A couple people knew Jennifer McCormick, who's running for governor. But basically, I found out then people were coming to vote for president, and they didn't research any of the candidates. And that's when I got this pit in my stomach, this sense of dread. Oh, no. And I didn't tell anybody that. But then I went to where you were at the Women's March at our headquarters in Corydon. And we sat there and ate pizza as the results started coming in. And that's when, I got 27% of the vote, which I knew I wasn't planning on winning. It's a very gerrymandered district, but how I thought I would do better than that because I've talked to thousands of people, you know, and there were lots of my signs up, and I had hundreds and hundreds of people donating to me. And so it was a disappointing and also humbling, and just really it sets in how much more work we've got to do. Yeah.
Okay, and then all right, so on top of all that, you know, we're feeling low, we're feeling scared, worried, anxious about the future. You're maybe feeling a little bit defeated, you know, maybe feeling a little down, that you know, didn't perform like you thought you might. And then while you're down, you get kicked by nature, by God, by something that gave you a health scare. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you can see it right here. So a couple weeks before the election, I found out I've been getting some tests on my thyroid, and they're like 95% chance it's nothing. And then they're like, now it looks like something. And so then I was like, I had a 70% chance of having thyroid cancer. So after the election, it was like, okay, now we got to take care of this thyroid tumor thing. And on December 12th, I had surgery, and I had half my thyroid removed. And you can't tell whether thyroid has cancer or not until you remove it. Isn't that wild? Like, I did not know that. I thought you could just get a test and find out whether it's cancer or not. But they're like, it looks like cancer. And so I had a good surgeon, and she just took out half my thyroid. I think a lot of people lose their whole thyroid, which regulates your hormones. And thankfully I just left half of it. And then I found out the good news that the tumor was benign. So I don't have to get more surgery, and I don't have to get radiation, which were what was going to happen if it was cancer. But the whole process lasted a few months, and it was pretty stressful on my husband and I. We did not see that one coming, that I was going to have a cancer scare. So thankfully everything worked out, and I'm okay now. But and that surgery was rough, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, at the same time, it was rough and not that bad, I guess. And I just got
you how you talk to the kids about that.
So with Micah, my 14-year-old, I just openly, honestly told him everything that we knew. The twins are 6. Adeline is a little more aware. Asher doesn't exactly know what surgery is, but he knew I had it. Adeline gets it a little bit more, but they were pretty fine because we told them I was going to be fine. So just besides coming home and being sick and throwing up in front of them day of, everything went pretty well.
And we actually had a little bit of a story about that when I stopped in. We did one of your early Project Next shows.
On Project Next, you also listen to. Scott's on it, and I talk about my my fun throw up experience and traumatizing my 6-year-old Asher, who's terrified of throwing up. So that was fun.
So there's a lot going on, right?
Right.
You know, you worked hard all year, trying to find somebody, unable to find somebody. You're like, all right, well, I guess it's me. And you run for state house, and you did the work, you put in the work, you went all over your district talk. And, we had a lot of hope. I thought we were going to do well. The election doesn't turn out great. You're dealing with health problems. I'm sure you probably just wanted to curl up and take care of yourself.
I definitely took a break from national news. I was really hoping Kamala would win. I was really hoping Jennifer McCormick would win. Those were the 2 big ones. I was like, anything else would be a bonus, but we didn't get any of those. So I definitely turned off national. I told my family and friends, I can't talk about national for a little while. And then that's when I started talking a lot to Tim Peck. So Dr. Tim Peck's been on your show. He's a medical doctor, and then he ran for Congress, and he also tries to do a lot of things to help people in the community. He's a pretty interesting person that really tries to help. We were talking because I was planning on helping him if he won, or helping him if he almost won. But he did okay. He got like 34, 35% of the vote. And so that didn't work. The plans for after the election fell through. So Tim and I are talking. We did a lot of things during the campaign where we would do a lot of talk shows, a lot of interviews, a lot of Facebook stuff. And that worked really well. And then also Tim is really a brave person. He will talk to anybody. He's the guy that goes up to the Republican booth at Harvest Homecoming or whatever festival, and he introduces himself and talks to everybody there. Whereas most people are like, well, I'm not talking to them. They're scary. Or they hate me or whatever. I really liked how brave he was. And I also, if he would give me a suggestion, I would do it. So he would encourage me to go talk to this person. I'm like, got it. And so we both encouraged each other in the campaign, and we became friends. And then we became friends that were sort of shocked after the election. And we just kept talking. What do we do? You know, there are major problems. That day of the election when I went to the high school and nobody knew the candidates, that really stuck with us. We're like, we've got to do something else. We can't do the same old Democrat messaging. It's not working in Indiana. It's not working in District 9. What do we do? And we started talking about, well, we'll do a talk show. Well, why don't we go bigger? You know, let's make our own media company, because the Democrat side's getting it wrong on some things. We know the Republican side's getting it wrong on some things. And then a bunch of people have turned off the news because they hate the fighting. So how do we get large masses of all of these groups into one thing? And that's when we came up with Project Next Media. We're a new independent media group. We'll do news and lots of other things. We'll make up our own shows, which we've been doing. And we needed to find content creators. So I found you, Scott, and Corinne. And we want to talk to everybody. We want to be populist. We want to help make everybody's life better. Don't you see this where the Democrats are really scared to talk to Republican neighbors? Do you see this in Indiana?
You know, like even just on the news, for example.
Yeah.
Democrats won't go on Fox. I mean, you know you're getting set up to fail. Like you are going into hostile territory. But like Pete Buttigieg does it, maybe a couple other people, but you know,
we got to get out.
Part,
we got to talk to the people on the other side. Yeah, I hear you. So I'd have so many Democrat friends that are terrified to talk about politics out in the open. They'll only do it in their safe little spaces when they know everybody's a big Democrat. And I'm like, well, if we don't learn how to talk to our neighbors, how are we going to grow as a party in Indiana? How are we going to win races and make positive change for the state? So that's a problem. Then you've got Republicans. When I would go out and talk to people, what I was saying was wonderful. But then if they would ask me what party I was, I would say, well, I'm a Democrat that wants to work with Republicans. And they'd just be like, ooh, gross. Democrat? Yeah, I like what you're saying, but I can't vote for a Democrat. And it was so frustrating because I'm like, well, the person that won, that's been in power since 2016, she's not here talking to you, but I am. I'll listen to you. You can message me. You could get a hold of me. I will listen and respond. But we tried to talk to her, to get her to debate us, and Karen Engelman. And so it was so frustrating because the D and the R splits people. And I'm sick of it. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a person. I'm a human being, just like all the other human beings in the world. And we all deserve certain things. And we should be working together for our communities. And I just want to throw up, not around my 6-year-old, over the division and the hatred we have. Because when you take out the parties and you just talk to each other, you realize most people are good people and they're just trying the best they can. And they're being fed false things about us, and we're being fed false things about them. And it's like people are profiting off of our fear and division and hate. And I'm so tired of it because it is causing so much damage to our state and our country.
It really is. And the national news especially just sucks all the oxygen out of the room. And I mean, Trump even more so. National news has been sucking the oxygen out of the room. I don't know, like my entire life. Like my awareness, I've really started paying attention to politics. I don't know, 94.
Oh, wow.
Rich kind of. Oh, yeah. No, I was that kid in high school.
That's
yeah. Cute. But, so I was paying attention to, national politics around then, and it just, that's all the local news even talks about for the most part. It's
right.
Amazing if you get, like, a 2-minute piece on the local news about what's going on at the State House any given day.
Yeah, you're so right. And down here in Southern Indiana, we get Louisville news. So I know way more what's going on in Kentucky. And I'm jealous of their governor. They've got Andy Beshear they've got a Democrat in a red state. And so if we do talk local, it's Louisville. It has to be really big, really terrible, something huge happening to get them to come over to Southern Indiana and talk about it. And they call it Kentuckiana. So, yeah, not only do they barely talk about stuff going on in the State House, but we're not even getting Indiana. We never get stuff about, like, Holcomb, our former governor. We never heard anything about him. I just had to find out stuff when I was running for State House.
Yeah, and that accounts for a pretty decent chunk of the state. I mean, the southern quarter, third of the state is probably getting Louisville news.
Yeah, people close
That's
to
where I grew up. Yeah,
Chicago stuff. So there's a big gap. Indianapolis people get. Like, I follow Indy Star on my socials, so I get some stuff from them, and I really appreciate that paper because they seem to be trying to get the news out. But for the most part, it is like a media desert here. Nobody talks about anything local. I live in a small town of Palmyra. I live in Harrison County, and it's 100% red here. And the elected officials here are really doing a lot of bad things with our money. They're writing a lot of bad bills to hurt us, and nobody's reporting on it. And I'm so glad that we do our shows. So Scott and I have done several shows where we're calling out stuff. We're calling out bad bills at the State House. We did one show where we just talked about bad bills from the elected officials in my district with Gary Byrne, state senator, and Karen Engelman, State House. And it got, it's getting good views. People are watching it. People are caring. We want to keep getting the word out. So please, if you're listening to this, please follow Project Next on all the socials. And we're trying. I tell people locally, it's like, well, this is going to be a national media company, but we're going to shine a giant spotlight on Southern Indiana and on rural areas. And we're going to help people that live in rural places learn. You don't need to give up on your community. Get out there and meet people. Go out there and find an organization you like, join it, meet some people, grow, and make your little area better. So it's really all about hope in a time where, I don't know about you, but hope's a little bit harder right now. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, you know what? It's encouraging. I mean, you said Harrison County down there where you're at. It's like 100% red, but you talked to thousands of people. And if you could talk about issues separately, they would agree with you on this one and this one and this one and this one, because typically the progressive, the more left proposal, is more popular on most of your issues,
right?
On healthcare. Medicare for all is popular.
Public education is popular.
Exactly.
They're destroying it in our state. Yeah.
So none of the stuff the Republicans are doing at the State House is popular. But they've got good branding, right? Yeah. Like, they've got brand loyalty.
They're so stuck to national that it doesn't matter what they're doing. They just have to say MAGA. They just have to say those words. And people are like, yeah, we know what to do. And yeah, they have it so easy. They don't even have to try. They don't have to show up or debate you. And they also get tons of money dumped into their campaigns, even though they're not doing anything. And it's gross. And it doesn't have to be that way, but that's what it's like right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think it's important. What you're doing with Project Next is to sort of inject progressive ideas into the information space in areas where they're not there. If you look at most small communities throughout Indiana and throughout, red state America and really all over the country, over the air, especially radio, every town, you want to find out what the weather's going to be that day, whether school's going to be closed. You turn into your local radio station for whatever, and that station is likely playing right-wing hate talk radio all day long, wherever you're at. You might get an NPR station if there's a college town within a, radius of you. But for the most part, if you're getting any local news, it is with a hard right perspective.
Yeah, hard right spin on it. So we don't really want to do a hard left spin on it. We want to do a what's morally right spin. We want to take out politics. We're not being funded by the Democrats. I have issues with many things that Democrats do, but I align with them way more strongly than with the right. We want to do what's right for the community, for our children, having so that you can get a surgery and it not bankrupt you. I just got a scary thing in the mail for my thyroid surgery. We're still figuring out the bills, and something says $27,000 on it. And we're not going to have to pay that. That's before insurance. But I'm like, well, what is this even for? Is this anesthesia? Is this surgery? I don't know. And we're just going to keep getting bills. So we'll see how expensive this turns out to be. This is not a Democrat issue or Republican issue. Everybody's struggling with medical bills. I mean, right. And just side note, if you're interested in this topic with medical system and if you've lost hope, there's nothing we can do. We're just messed up. It's just always going to be like this. You should go check out our first episode of Dr. Tim with Tim Peck, because he explains how we can easily fix our healthcare system. And I thought I knew some things, but he's explaining it to it. And I'm like, oh, this is way simpler than I thought. And by the end of the episode, we're doing a live episode. I'm like, I feel so much better. Everybody needs to know this. And I'm like, Tim, I think we should do a show about this. And we're like live on air doing the show. So the medical thing is a problem. And that's why Tim Peck, one of the many reasons he ran for Congress, because he's like, I see it as an ER doctor. I see it as an entrepreneur, and I see it as running for Congress. I see all the sides. If I could get in there, I could help pass some legislation where we could actually clean up our medical system. So that the Dr. Tim show is different than, I would say, this show. It's more centered on how can we help people. And here's a great, simple thing all of us can do that doesn't cost money, that would make your life better in a health-wise way. So we've got 2 episodes out. The second episode focuses on just changing a couple things in your lifestyle to live a happier, healthier life. Tim explained why eating oats is so good for you. If you made like your breakfast around an oat center thing, it helps lower your cholesterol, and that's way better than taking medicine. And he just kind of breaks it down in a simple way. Him being a doctor, he explains it in things I didn't know. I knew oats were good for you, but I didn't know why. And he explains why. And I'm like, So I'm trying to really let you all know, I feel it too, the darkness, the hopelessness. And I just encourage you to come over with us on Project Next, because the thing we haven't talked about yet, Scott, is it's interactive. The shows are interactive. We need you all to watch and comment. So they're live. So I've got a program where I can go live on multiple places. So each show is, right now we have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. And I might be able to figure out TikTok, I'm hoping. So it all goes live there at once, and you can comment, and we can put your comment up on the screen and talk about it. So that's pretty cool. I don't see a lot of shows out there doing that, doing that right now.
I remember when like Twitter first got popular, like news and sports shows, they would kind of like feature, they would put up comments from people every now and then, but not in a really like interactive way. It was just like, here's something to look at as we go to commercial. But and that kind of lost its novelty fast. But this is what you're describing is really like viewer centered. Like they are part of the program.
And sometimes they bring up a really good point that we're like, oh, we're going to need to make a show about that. We're going to have to make that a topic. I didn't even think about that. But they add to what we're saying. And sometimes they have experience, so they tell us their experience. And it's been really beautiful thing. Another show we're doing, and Scott, you've been really helpful on this show, is we're calling it a new thing. I don't even think I told you this. The show's going to be called Get the Word Out, like the song my husband made. So I'm doing a new show called Get the Word Out. And that's when we talk about like bad bills, school board, when we're trying to explain terrible things our lawmakers are trying to do to us and how do we stop it. And on those shows, it's so amazing because you're putting up, like I'm saying, this bill, and you put up the bill. And then we say, and this state senator sponsored it. Here's the number to call. Here's the email to email him. And then so like it's interactive. You can just help. There's the info. We got it real easy for you. And here's what you say. And then with the school board one, we're going to be zooming in on North Harrison School Board. That's the school system that my kids go to. There's a lawsuit going on. And the guy that's suing the school stacked the school board to get his friends on there so that they can settle the lawsuit and he can make a bunch of money. And I'm really stressed out about it, and I'm really worried about my kids' schools. But at the same time, I know this stuff is going on across the country. So as the show grows and more people are watching it, I really want people from other school districts in other states or other areas to contact us and say, hey, this certain thing is going on at our school. And then I want to have them on the show, or I want to find out more about it and we can do a story about that. But what's happening at North Harrison School Board is not a solo act. There is a calculated attack on schools, public schools around the country, especially in red states. And if we work together, just regular people paying attention that care about our kids and care about our school systems, if we work together, we can call it out on a more national spotlight and hopefully stop some of it,
Exactly, because these are the things that they don't talk about at like on local programming.
Right. You're right.
Like Indianapolis isn't talking about this. These are big things going on right now. But look, your local news anywhere, it's mostly weather and sports, and you get a couple puff pieces and human interest stories, and then like if there's like a shooting, that's it. That like anybody, a gun goes off in the city, there's your story. They're not going to talk about what's going on in the State House. And those shootings are unfortunate, especially if anybody gets hurt or God forbid dies. But these things going on in the State House are affecting millions of people with the stroke of a pen.
I want to tell you something that I haven't told anybody online. Only Tim Peck really knows it. Before the Women's March, it was in October, I was at Harvest Homecoming, which is our biggest festival in New Albany. It was our best way to meet people. And I went every day during the day. Saturday night, there's a shooting at Harvest Homecoming. There really had never been one before. It was a really safe festival. It was violence from Louisville came over. And they shot and killed a senior from Corden High School. And he also used to attend North Harrison High School, where my son attends. a wonderful kid,
Jeez.
senior on the football team, killed him. He was protecting his girlfriend. They were celebrating their anniversary, I think. And they canceled Harvest Homecoming for Sunday. I went down there because I was told they needed help closing up the Democratic booth. I didn't know who was shot on Sunday morning. I didn't know it was a Corden kid. I find out it's a Corden kid. I see news there. I look up on my phone, Indiana gun laws. I learn them. I send them to Tim Peck. I ask to be on the news. They interview me. I talk about the gun laws. I say, here are the actual laws. And here's what they pass. And here's how lax they are. And you don't even need a gun permit. You don't need a permit to carry a gun. So they couldn't have even stopped this from happening if these people were carrying these guns illegally. No way to check. And that is a rule. That is a law that just got passed not very long ago. I say this hoping to make a difference, hoping people will see me. Did they show my clip? Tim talks about it. Tim talks about the rules that I sent him, the laws. Did they show his on the news? No. And that's when I get frustrated. They're scared. They don't want to make it political. It is political. Laws have been passed in Indiana to make gun safety so lax that there isn't even a way we could have stopped it unless we had everybody checking roped off areas, which I think we're going to have next year for Harvest Homecoming. I'm so frustrated with that news source that they didn't think that this was the time to talk about it. Because if we're not going to talk about it when we lost a loved one, an amazing child that was just beginning his life, when are we going to talk about it? And so anyway, I haven't told anybody that story. That was the worst about campaigning, was having that experience. And then we had like a bracelet station set up in coordinate Harrison County Democrats, and we offered to let people come in and make a bracelet for Bryce, who died. And we had footballs and Corden colors like gold and black. And I was like, is this the right thing? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do to comfort the community. And I had parents come in and their children made bracelets, and they got the footballs, and they said, look, this is for Bryce. I'm going to make this for Bryce. And I had a mom get tears in her eyes and look at me and go, thank you. And I'm like, okay, so we're not doing anything wrong, but I don't know what to do. And the community really stepped up and raised a bunch of money for his family, but doesn't bring back the child. And so that was horrible.
And that's one of these things, though. They wouldn't air your criticisms of lawmakers and the laws in Indiana, and like you said, when is the right time? And they didn't want to seem political.
They didn't want to seem political. Here I am running for state house, openly saying I would work to change this law. And they're like, oh no, don't touch that. And it's like, well, if we're not going to touch it, how are we going to fix it? We're just going to put our head in the sand and just act like it's not happening? I mean, I'm willing to put in the work.
Right. And so no, like, nobody's talking about this at the local level. It, like, you wait for a big school shooting, and as we're recording this, there was one today in Nashville.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's never the right time then, right? So when is the right time? But again, this is one of those issues. If you separate it from red and blue, most people agree on
common sense things.
More gun regulation, right?
Common sense things. It doesn't need to be so easy to get a weapon. We could put some regulations in there. And also the suicide rate. I'm really worried about suicides, particularly in our state, but across the country, particularly with men.
Yeah.
I would really like to help with that. And if we made it harder for these people to get a gun, because in Indiana, basically, you can get a gun day one. The day you want it, you can go out and get it. And if that person, if it took a couple weeks, maybe they would tell one loved one their dark thoughts and get help. And so we can move on to lighter topics, but I had never talked about publicly.
Yeah. No, let me get conspiratorial for a second.
Sure.
Do you think local news doesn't care about the gun issue because shootings are their bread and butter? Like, if it bleeds, it leads.
I think it's fear. They don't want to get criticism. You want whatever news source it is, you're on social media, you've got comments, you've got advertisers, you're trying to make profit. I solely think it's based on fear of pushback. They know that Indiana is mostly red, so they're assuming that people are on the issue of don't talk about gun laws. Everybody should have a gun. Which again, I'm not against people having a gun. I just think we should have laws and make it
right
so that the right people, better people are having them.
You don't need an AK-47. Yeah.
Yeah. And I live out in the country. People should be able to protect themselves. You can't get a cop out here. And I'm totally fine with people having protection, but we can do things better. We can do things so that you have a permit when you're walking around at a festival, that you have to show that you're allowed to carry that weapon. So yeah, I just think it's fear. I see it everywhere. It's one of the reasons I like being with you, because you don't seem to have it. People are just so scared of pushing people's buttons. They're so scared to make people upset. And I'm like, I'm okay with you being upset if it saves a child's life.
Yeah.
I'm okay if people get mad at me or people think bad things about me or judge me. That's okay. I'm pushing for change and pushing for the better of all of humanity. So you're going to get that when you push, and it's human nature to fear that. I get it. I'm not saying I kind of asked the young woman, can I get interviewed? I'm running for state house and I just looked up the state laws. I know. And she's like, oh, sure. She was really nice, but who's the person that looks at the footage and decides who to put it on? Why are they choosing the things that they're choosing? And I wish that they all had a hard conversation and, let's put the material on that betters humanity as opposed to making sure we keep our viewers and we make a profit. But the world is the way it is. And hence, I'm starting my own media company.
Well, no, you get at something important because, like you said, the anchor was very generous and wanting to talk to you and, get your statement. Who picks what statement makes the air? Some gatekeeper. What's their motivation?
Right.
And who's their boss? Is their boss telling, play that? We get money from the NRA,
Right.
So what's nice about Project Next, it sounds like, you're eliminating the gatekeepers.
Right.
And going directly to people and letting them talk to you and to your guests and to experts. And it's just so unique. You don't see it, even though we have the technology. We've had the technology.
Yeah. And right now it's just me and Tim. We're the co-founders of this. And we talk a lot about what are we doing? What kind of product are we making? And the answer is, if it makes our lives better, it's worth it. If it makes everybody's life better, we're trying to collectively work together as a community and give all kinds of different information. It could be about eating oats for breakfast. It could be about a bad bill. It could be about the school board. It could be a mental health conversation about grief. But will it help people? And having that moral code, that moral compass of, is it right for humanity? Is this going to benefit people? And that's the core. The core is doing good for people. And when I ran for State House, I met so many other people that are like that. They want to do good for humanity. They're trying, they're pushing, they're working. And it's hard work. And if we can all come together and shine a spotlight on how many people are doing the good work, and maybe somebody listening is sitting at home lonely and they're like, oh, I really like this thing. Maybe I should get involved in my area, in my community. Let me look it up. And if we can motivate people to be more involved in their communities, because that benefits all of us greatly. it doesn't benefit society when we stay home and fear our neighbors. That's the opposite of what we want. So right now our shows are a lot of sitting in here talking, but very soon we're going to be having shows on location. Tim and I are going to start this. We either just purchased it today or we're going to tomorrow, our first order of equipment, so that we can take my phone and put devices on it and put headphones on and have a live show at a restaurant. Like we want to do a restaurant show where we go to small businesses, small restaurants, and we talk to the owners and we eat the food and we have a conversation. And I'm really excited.
As someone who worked at a restaurant for a lot of years, make sure you talk to the people in the back too.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Great tip. Yeah. And get the community involved in the media company. You know, I want to go down and interview Save a Step, the gas station by my house. They make really good roasted chicken and really good sides, and it's very affordable. It's cheaper than a 5-person meal you get at the grocery. And they do it on purpose because they're helping the community. They know people need a meal that's not too expensive. So Save a Step is packed. People are always buying their food. And I've talked to the owner, and he says people have told him he needs to raise his prices, and he refuses. And I want to talk to that guy and get him on the show. And what a community thing to do. What a wonderful thing to do for Palmyra. A lot of my neighbors are struggling financially. I love that. You know, so stuff like that. Like, let's meet the people doing the work, feeding the community, you know. Let's have a conversation. And like, have you ever done this, Scott, when you're just like in the line for the grocery store and you have a conversation with the person behind you or the cashier and it's like a meaningful conversation? Do you do that? Because I do that all the time.
I am, I will admit that I am not great about that, and I'm definitely the guy on myself.
So
yeah.
That's so cute. So yeah, I figured you'd say that. So I'm an extrovert. I'm going to guess maybe a little introvert there. Because my husband is a little bit, So I love it. I come home and I'm like, I start telling my husband, I'm like, Chris, did you know, da-da-da-da-da-da-da? And he's like, where'd you learn this? I'm like, the guy behind me at JC. We had this, I found out his wife died of cancer and she had red hair and he liked my daughter's hair and I'm going, and I'm like, having meaningful conversations with strangers is like a really easy way to make yourself happier. Do you know that? Because there's like happiness books out, and that's one of the tips. Like, have meaningful conversations with those around you. And I've done that myself, and you do that campaigning because you're meeting strangers and you're trying to talk.
Yeah.
Well, I got really good at it because I'm talking to people all the time. But that's a tip for you all. You know, have a meaningful conversation with someone in the line, and instead of looking at your phone, be like, hey, how are you doing? And start a conversation. You know, I found out really wonderful things about people that way. Yeah. So that's kind of the theme of those shows. The meet a stranger, leave not strangers. Leave, you care about them and they care about you. I kind of think that's the meaning of life, honestly. Yeah. So have hope, everybody. Join us at Project Next Media. Scott is one of our content creators. He's one of the first people I got on to be like, hey, Scott, I'm doing this crazy thing. Will you hop on and do stuff with me? And you've just said yes every time. Sometimes I give you hours advance notice of a live show and you come on and you make the show so much better. You're so good. Scott's the reason we have podcasts. So if you want to get your podcast app out and look up Project Next Media, you can listen to our episodes as podcasts because of Scott. Scott, you've helped my mental health because I'm stressed out with the tech stuff and you help with that. And if you're interested in Scott Aaron Rogers and you've been listening to this Who's Left podcast and you want to know more about him, come on over to the other network and get to see another side of him because that's been really wonderful and loving and just pure joy. So, Scott, I'm so excited. You're going to have your own show. You're on my shows all the time. It's just such a wonderful thing. I'm so excited. And we like have a lot of creativity too, right? Like,
Yeah. It's so grateful to have met you and Corinne and Tim and all those
seriously.
great people, and you're wonderful. And I'm enjoying getting to work with you. And for anybody listening, I'm doing a lot more stuff probably behind the scenes than you're going to see. I will be on screen, but there's going to be stuff that you won't see. I'm just trying to help things go smoothly, because I really trust in Tim and Sarah, and I believe in what they're trying to do.
It's just it's been really wonderful that I've never been like a boss before. I've just been a teacher. I've been a leader, but nothing like this. And it's really fun to get to pick people I want to be around. And I definitely want to be around you. So what a joy. On Saturday at 3:00 this Saturday, what day is that? I can't think of the 20.
We are recording on Wednesday. Yeah. So Saturday is the 25th.
On the 25th, we're doing a live show with my friend Kara, who is a public school teacher. She's a public school teacher in Floyd County. And she's going to come on and talk about the bad bills and about the attack on public education. And if you attend live, you can ask her a question. And you can find out from a teacher in the trenches right now. I'm friends with her, not close friends with her, but we've really become friends online because I'll post something supporting public education and she will comment on it. And I invited her to be on the show, and she's very busy. When I was a teacher, I was so busy, but she's made time in her schedule. That's why the live's at a Saturday when it's not normally on Saturdays, because it's when can she do it? But you don't have to watch live. You can watch afterwards as well. So I'm excited about that show. And then what are we doing Tuesday?
We are telethoning it up.
Yeah. So Tuesday, January 28th, we're doing a 5-hour live from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All four of us are going to be on, Tim, Corinne, and me and you. And we're going to interview a bunch of people. And the theme is, look at what all these people are doing to help our communities. They're all doing vastly different things, but they're all trying to help society. So it is a hope-filled night. And we're doing all these guests. We're going to have them all back on again later for longer episodes, but just to show you a sampling of what our programs will look like. We're interviewing this community member and this community member, and look at all these great things, and you can be involved in them too. And it's also to support Project Next Media. So my friend Elmer Ramos has his print shop company in Cordon. It's a small business, and he is doing our merch for us. And you guys can support Project Next Media and then get like a shirt or a mug or a Project Next magnet. So that it will really help us out, because we need to pay for our content creators. We need to pay for our audio equipment, and we need to advertise to get the network bigger and more people watching, so that we have a bigger spotlight to make change. So please, 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 you don't have to hop on all 5 hours like us, driven people over here, but just hop on 10 minutes, a half an hour, whatever you can, and comment. Tell us you're on. Tell us how you're doing. We can put your comments on the show, or we don't have to, but meet the guests. We've got Sean Bostock, who is big in Southern Indiana. He is an independent journalist that uncovered the Jamie Knoll story. Jamie Knoll's now in jail. We've got Dan Cannon, who ran for Congress several years ago, and he's a civil rights lawyer. He's written a book, and he's a friend of mine. He's one of those people where if you ask him for help, he 100% helps. I've asked him like 5 times for like a help. Like, this person needs help here, and he helps me. He's just one of those people where he wants to help everybody. He reminds me of Tim Peck, and they both ran for Congress. It kind of makes sense. I like those people. So Dan Cannon's on. Pam from Senior Paws Rescue. She rescues dogs that are 10 and older. She lives pretty close to my house. I get to go over to her house.
Hold on. Are we going to have cute dogs? Are there going to be cute dogs?
Her and her dogs. We're going to have her.
Yes.
She's going to give us a tour of the dogs. And she's famous on TikTok. She has like 30,000 followers on TikTok. And the dogs are famous on there. And she makes a lot of money for her nonprofit on social media with her cute. So her dogs are already famous. They're more famous than we are. I'm just going to say it. They're more famous than we are.
Well, you had me at dogs. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm there.
So
sure.
That's on early. I think she's coming at 6, I think. And then Sean's at 6:30. So yeah, the dogs, that's going to be out. Elmer's going to come on and show us the merchandise. And then it'll be Pam. And then it'll be Sean. And then Corinne's going to have her friend who's an attorney and a really big person in Elkhart, Ethan Legg. And then Michelle Higgs, who's Michelle.
I love Michelle Higgs, yes.
Co-founder of Indiana Rural Summit. She ran for State House and she's really trying to help save Indiana. I'm very thankful for her. She's coming on. Trying to think if I'm missing anybody. And we're going to have more. We're going to have more people. So I think Blythe Potter, we're going to try to get her on for like 15 minutes. She ran for county council.
Yeah, she was county council this last year.
And she's a big advocate.
Council, I think the year before
yeah,
that. Yeah,
she's a big advocate for Indiana, helping Indiana. So it's gonna be really fun. Are you excited?
I'm excited. Yeah,
I'm nervous and excited because I'm planning the whole thing. So I'm organizing everything, and I don't want to let anything slide. I'm gonna be sending you the agenda soon, but my kids have had 2-hour delays every day this week, and so it's 2 less hours to work.
Yeah, it's
been
something this week with the cold, right? It wasn't precipitation; it was just the cold.
Yeah, it was like 1 this morning. Yeah, I think it was -2 during the night. I think we have a normal day tomorrow, so pretty excited.
It was a balmy 23 on my way home this afternoon.
Yeah,
I was
warm after.
Windows down,
Do you still have a the ice outside? It looks like snow, but slick, like you could skate on it, because that's what it looks like here.
Yeah. It's not fun.
It's been interesting. I'm ready for it to melt, but I'm glad my kids got to play in a bunch. But yeah.
Yeah, hey, they're building snowmen in Florida right now.
I know. I just saw that. Yeah. Then Texas has got snow, right? Yeah. Like it's everybody's cool.
Yeah, it's just on the whole city. But you know what? It's a good chance to get the kids out there to play in snow that they don't.
January is gross. Tuesday's going to be terrible. The weather's just awful. Everybody's saying just stay inside and watch a great 5-hour live. That's what they're pumping out right now. Have you heard that? Because I've been hearing that.
Yeah. Well, 5 to 10, get you a pot of tea or maybe an adult beverage or free, and come hang out.
Interact, have fun, really see what we're about, because we're trying some new things here and we'll be evolving more. But I think it'd be fun for you to join us now and then watch us grow, because I know some things about you and Corinne and Tim and me, and we have a Venn diagram, and where we match is our drive and passion to make the world a better place. And we found an outlet with Project Next Media, and we're not giving up. We'll make different shows. We'll see what sticks. We'll keep trying. We're not giving up. We're just going to keep growing. We're going to keep getting out there. The 4 of us, we're not stopping. And we're going to make the community better, right? We just are.
Yeah.
I mean, what are our other options? To just sit back and let it be destroyed and let democracy fail? No. I mean, I'm going to be fighting.
There's going to be a fire hose of just anxiety-inducing, traumatizing stuff coming out of national politics.
Yes.
And with that, it's important that we build community and work together with those of us around us to make, our little corners of the world better.
I just don't know what else we are to do in this world other than to try to make things better. I think the age of social media, of 24-hour news, I think we're seeing a lot of negative aspects from those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're also starting to figure out how to counteract it. And we have to work together to do that. Quick side note, did you see the crazy stuff about Instagram today? That
everybody was following JD Vance and Trump.
Yeah, and hashtag Democrats wasn't working, but Republicans was. And then there were also like some like really far right accounts that people were signed up for that they never signed up for. So it wasn't just those accounts. And then mainstream media got this wrong because they kept saying what Meta told them. Meta said, it's okay if everything's fine. If you were following Kamala, now you're following JD Vance. Nope. Those are separate accounts. If you were following...
Yeah, like if I push the button, that's the one I want to follow, not the other one.
Separate accounts. They don't slide over. And what made me so angry is all the mainstream media picked up the wrong information. They all believed Meta. BBC, my husband tracked it last night for hours. BBC reported, and they just said what Meta said. Meta issued a statement. They said this. Everybody else picked that up as fact. Well, that's what it is. Everybody calm down. I had multiple people texting me with screenshots of, I never followed them. And look, I'm following them. I looked it up myself. Same thing. I was following them and I never followed them.
I wasn't. Yeah, I looked too, but apparently it was something like 30%, I think.
Yes, it was like 17 million people were following these brand new accounts.
Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff that's kind of nice to have an independent media company. Like, I was really upset with the mainstream media that they all picked up the wrong thing. They just all went with it. It's like they're like, well, this news source reported it, let's do it too. And so it was like, well, where's the actual reporting here? So I was disappointed that happened. And I saw on my TikTok, because I talked about it on the Project Next TikTok, a lot of people said they got rid of their accounts, their Facebook or their Instagram accounts, because they're so mad at Meta. And I'm like, well, I don't know how great TikTok is. They censor my content. I have to choose which words to say, or they don't show my people my video. I mean, it's not like TikTok's great either. Just the whole thing of social media manipulating us. It's a thing, you know?
It is a thing, and it's something we're all going to have to be on the lookout for and potentially have to work around. You know,
because I'm putting my stuff out on social media. You are too.
On all of these platforms, right? And so we have to, you know, hope that, you know, our stuff doesn't get censored or throttled or
they just
we don't just
they throttle it. They push it, they put it so they don't promote it. Yeah, that's a real possibility. And we'll figure out something else if that happens. But until then, I'm going to be using the social media platforms, and I'm also going to be calling out their manipulative crap. I'm going to do both. You know, I'm going to use it because it's a way to get the message out, and I'm also going to call it out. And I don't know. I think that's what we kind of have to do. You don't need to feel guilty and get off your Facebook if that's how your friends and family see pictures of your family easily. You know, you don't have to get off of it. Just be aware that they're doing that stuff. I think we put too much guilt on us, and like we have to do everything like, oh, we can't use Amazon or whatever. Like, it's not on us. It's on policymakers. We could fix this a different way. You don't have to change your life.
Individuals can do a lot of things by themselves, but unless we change systems, you are not going to make a real difference. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're so good at summing up the ramblings of what I'm doing. I appreciate that about you, Scott. You're so great.
All right. Well, hey, I'll probably wind up cutting out some of this because we're off topic, but take me home. Give me a nice big close for the end of this.
Okay. So Scott is going to put on his notes, right, of the episode, the ways you can follow Project Next Media. But I'll go ahead and tell you. We're on Project Next on Facebook. You can also follow Sarah Blessing Project Next. Either one's fine. On TikTok, we're Project Next Media. On Instagram, Project Next Movement. YouTube, one word, Project Next Movement. We're on Twitch, 3 words, Project Next Movement. We're on X. I think that's Project Next 25. We're on Blue Sky. I can't remember Blue Sky. Project Next something. Project Next, Project Next Movement, Project Next. I can't remember. I think it's just Project Next, but I can't remember Blue Sky. But our shows, our live shows, they're on Instagram, but you can't comment. They're live with comments on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So those are the best 3 places to watch us live. So pick whichever your favorite thing is. Please subscribe. Please subscribe on YouTube. We need 1,000 subscribers, and we have like 169. So you'd really be helping us out if you subscribe. We're doing pretty well on Facebook. That's our biggest platform right now. Join us.
And yeah, hey, also, do the podcast versions of these shows are hosted on projectnext.substack.com, and when you're there, just subscribe. You don't need to subscribe at the paid level or anything, but subscribe. Then we've got your email address, and if it gets to the point where we are completely throttled on social media, we'll still be able to talk to you.
Right. Yes. And that's thanks to you. Scott is helping us with the Substack by helping us. I mean, he has done everything. So thank you, Scott. Yes. And then you can just go to like your Apple Podcasts or your Spotify and type in Project Next Media, and you can get our episodes as podcasts. Podcasts are nice because I don't always have time to watch, but I have a lot more time to listen while I'm doing laundry and dishes and stuff. So that might be a good way for you all. Please share it with your friends. Those of you that are dark, feeling a little hopeless right now, please join us because we also get it and we feel it too. And we're going to put a real push towards hope, towards look at all these beautiful people working so hard to help the community. Join us. Here's how you can join us. Here's what you need to know. Do you have a question? You can like ask us questions and we'll look it up for you. We'll connect you with all kinds of organizations that are helping. So please join us. It's not just a watching experience. It's a tell us your name. Let's learn some things about you. Let's care about you. You care about us. Let's do this together. So it's something different from your media than you've been getting. I was telling Corinne yesterday on our TikTok live that this is a combination of I kind of like Pod Save America and Crooked Media, except they're very Democrat. But I kind of like what they're doing with Crooked Media. And I also really like Dax Shepard's podcast, Armchair Expert. Have you ever heard that?
Bits and pieces. Yeah.
I love that podcast. That's my favorite podcast. They have experts, they have celebrities, they have funny stories. I found them during the pandemic and they really helped me during the pandemic. Like listening to all the experts and like, here's a happiness expert and here's an expert on anxiety and here's an expert on that. So we'll do stuff like that, but more at a local level. Yeah. So I'm really excited. I'm nervous and scared too. I've never done this before. And I'm thankful, Scott, that you hopped on board and are helping us. I'm thankful for Corinne. Obviously, Tim. Tim is the business guru, so I'm glad he knows what's going on in the business side because I don't. Yeah, so come on.
Well,
please.
I'm glad to be on board with you, and I'm hoping people will join us. All of my Who's Left people. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be doing this, and
you're just extra busy.
But please, yeah, give Sarah and Project Next a follow and join them, join us. We're just trying to build something local in our communities where we can be vulnerable with each other and build toward the future we all want to have.
Just because we're in a red state, just because we're in a rural area, doesn't mean that nobody should be paying attention to us. We're here. We're all human beings. We matter. This community matters. And we demand to make it better. We demand change. And if they're not going to listen to us, they're not going to put us on the news, then let's make our own news because these people deserve better.
Damn right. Love it. Sarah, thank you so much. Appreciate you joining Who's Left Podcast here again. And we'll see you real soon.
Thanks for making time for me. I know you're busy. I'm proud of you.
Once again, that was Sarah Blessing, former Democratic candidate for Indiana State House and co-founder of the new Project Next Media. Let me tell you a little bit why I'm excited to collaborate with Project Next, besides the incredible people I get to work with. Here at Who's Left, I am unapologetically political, flagrantly partisan, though I direct my ire at Democrats nearly as often as Republicans, and highly combative. With Project Next, I'm challenged to lean in, find common ground, and cultivate relationships with people whom I do not necessarily agree on all the issues. Now, I'm not going soft on you. I am not turning into a squishy moderate. My social democratic values remain the foundation of all I do. And this venue serves as a parallel track for moving these principles into the local discourse. I remember the 2007 cookbook Deceptively Delicious, penned by comedian Jerry Seinfeld's wife Jessica. In it, she talks about her struggle getting the couple's young children to eat their vegetables, and how she came up with a technique to stealthily sneak veggies into recipes even the pickiest kids would devour. She snuck butternut squash into macaroni and cheese, spinach and carrot purees into brownies, and sweet potatoes into donuts. I look at the conversations we will have on Project Next as an opportunity to inject class politics into nominally nonpartisan discourse, to add some nourishing socialism to our metaphorical plate. Maybe I can't get folks to drink a big glass of Marxism, but I'm sure gonna spike the punch. Thanks again to my friend Sarah Blessing, and thank you for listening. Check us out on the Project Next kickoff show from 5 to 10 p.m. on Tuesday, January 28th, and please consider a contribution if you can. Also, if you're able, head on over to whosleft.us and help support this project with a paid subscription. That's where you'll find everything I publish, but you can also find me on Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok at Who's Left, and on most other social media sites at ScottRaj78. My DMs are open for feedback, tips, ideas, and concerns. You can also email me at scott@whosleft.us. Forward the show to a friend and have them forward it to another friend. Let's keep building this project and a truly democratic state. Until next time, this has been the Who's Left Podcast. I'm Scott Aaron Rogers. Love each other, Indiana.